Welcome to The Owner's Odyssey, navigating the greatest journey of your life.
Welcome back to The Owner's Odyssey, navigating the greatest journey of your life. My name is Kevin Rosenquist, here again with Jeff Redmon. In our last episode, we talked about the high-stakes moment of selling your business. Today, we're tackling the question every owner asks first: what is my business worth? Jeff, welcome back. It's good to see you.
Kevin, good to see you. Thanks for hosting again.
Absolutely. So tell me, what is my business worth?
That's always the first question I get.
I'm sure.
What's my business worth? The truth is there's lots of emotion in that question. It's a little bit like asking, do you think my baby's pretty? The answer involves math, financial security, there's ego involved,
Sure.
family, and often legacy. The simple answer is it's worth what a buyer is willing to pay. And that comes down to risk and reward. If I can get 3% at the bank with no risk, why would I pay you 10x for your business? Because a higher risk, you expect higher returns. And multiples aren't fixed. They're really about how buyers see you. In simple terms, if your business generates $100,000 a year after all the expenses, are you willing to pay 3 times, 5 times, or even 10 times? Despite the complexities, somehow the market seems to know what the value is. When we solicit offers through a broker, we'll get independent offers, and they come in pretty much in a very narrow range, maybe plus or minus 10%. Why any difference? Maybe the fundamentals of the seller, or it may be the perceived value to the buyer. Multiples aren't just about math. They're about how buyers see your business.
Mm-hmm. So let's unpack that a little bit. So if someone says, hey, I sold my company for 6x, what does that really mean?
In smaller owner-operated businesses, the buyers look at something called seller's discretionary earnings, or STE. That's really EBITDA plus the adding back in owner salary, perks, discretionary expenses. They pay for their kid's cell phone. They might run their boat through their business. In plain English, it's the free cash a buyer can expect to receive if they operated the business. And the multiple is what they're willing to pay for it. Same industry, same market. Why different prices? How well your business is prepared, positioned, and the growth story it tells. More importantly, how the buyer perceives that value. Multiples measure more than past performance. They really measure what the buyer's confidence is in the future.
I like that, the story that sells, like the narrative, the story that you create based on your business. We all love story these days, so that makes a lot of sense to me. Can you share an example of how preparation made that difference?
Absolutely. As I mentioned in our last episode, I worked with a service business where the market average was 2x EBITDA, or excuse me, 4x EBITDA. And we were able to sell that business for 6x. That's a 50% premium. Why? They had literally squeaky clean financials. The buyer actually traced every single invoice over a 6-year period through their P&L and didn't find a single error.
My impressive.
It was amazing. My client had treated his business also like a franchise and had documented all of his operating procedures. In fact, that buyer was able to apply those operating systems to their existing business, adding perceived value for them. And then industry innovation in safety protocols caused my client's safety record to be 10 times better than the industry average. That positioning wasn't just paperwork, it was worth millions. On the other hand, I've seen the opposite. One client lost $1 million on their sale price because of a $200,000 earnings misstatement. Why? Because multiples magnify small errors. Here's what happened. They consistently recorded their finished goods, but not according to generally accepted accounting principles, GAAP. When the buyer's accountants came in, they readjusted the books to GAAP standards. That reduced net income by $200,000. And at a 5x multiple, that small earnings change knocked $1 million off the purchase price. The lesson here, if your financials aren't prepared in line with industry standards, buyers will discount your value. The multiples will magnify that impact. Clean, accurate financials aren't just paperwork. Again, they're worth millions.
Clearly. So it sounds like it's really about how buyers perceive the business. How do they think when they're evaluating multiples?
Buyers are asking really three big questions. Risk. How safe is this investment? Are the numbers solid? Growth. How much bigger can I make this business in my hands? And then fit. Does this business align with my strategy? Does it create synergies? You can show reduced risk with diversified customer base, not concentration in one customer, consistent recurring revenues, and strong operating systems. Growth is often demonstrated by an industry that is growing or trends that show consistent historic year-over-year growth. And fit is very much buyer specific. Knowing your buyer through your own due diligence can help you highlight synergies that cause this purchase to be good for the buyers. Multiples rise not because the math changes, but because the perceived story changes.
Yeah, that fit is so important. I mean, and you're that's a good point. Like knowing your buyer's kind of persona and what they're looking for can really help you showcase your business in the best possible light for that particular buyer too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. So are there any practical steps that an owner perhaps listening to our show could take in the very near future to start seeing where they stand?
I ask people looking to sell to start with systems and then follow with benchmarking. Build a one-page strategic plan that is implemented with a disciplined execution plan. This will make your business more valuable to you now and certainly perceived value to a buyer upon a sale. And then benchmark your multiple. There's enough industry knowledge out there to say, well, my industry sells between 4 and 6 times EBITDA. Ask what it's going to take to move you closer to that higher end. And then your plan should be working towards that. So this changes not, it will change how you run your business because now you're managing towards a premium.
Is there one area in particular that sellers tend to overvalue their business that perhaps the buyers don't see the same way?
One area that I consistently see sellers overvalue is their sales projections, particularly if they're not supported by consistent growth at that rate. The fact of the matter is no buyer is going to pay for hockey stick growth projections, even if you have a plan to get there. They like to see consistent year over year growth, and then that adds predictability that yes, you've proven that you can grow year over year, and we would expect the business to continue that growth after the sale rather than suggesting some ginormous hockey stick growth projection.
And for reference to people, that the hockey stick is just the long flat, and then it goes up at the end, right?
Right. So it's
Yeah.
that sales projection that, you've maybe even a little bit of growth, but all of a sudden in your projection, you have it going to the moon.
Well, let's not flip the hockey stick upside down and have it go down. That'd be worse.
That would be far worse.
Yeah, it'd be far worse. Yeah. Well, this has been great. I love the perspective that you've given on this whole concept of what my business is worth. I mean, obviously, sellers always want to get the most possible, but I think this was good information for anybody who might be thinking about selling their business. Do you have any final thoughts before we wrap up the show?
Yeah, multiples really do matter. It's going to be the thing that translates decades of your sweat equity into what we hope is a life-changing number. With that one-page plan that I mentioned, you can work towards improving your multiple. And oh, by the way, your business runs better while you still own it. So you're going to become more profitable and more focused with that one-page plan. So don't settle for average when a premium is possible. With preparation, positioning, and the right story, you can unlock value most owners will never see.
Love that. Well said. All right. Thanks, Jeff. And thank you to all our listeners. Be sure to subscribe to the Owner's Odyssey. Next time, we're going to talk about the strategic buyer advantage, why strategic buyers often pay the most, and how you can position your business to catch their attention. Don't forget, you can download Jeff's free guide, How Do You Stack Up? Benchmarking Your Business, at www.redmonlaw.com. Until next time, Jeff, appreciate your time. Really, really enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.